Hey there, comic book friends. I'm Travis, and this is a solo version of Monster Comics Review. Ethan is still predisposed. I think next week we should have him back with the lane, but we shall see. This is for the second week of October. First thing I'm going to talk about is Avenging Spider-Man number 13. All I can really say about this is Hypno Hustler. Hypno Hustler. This wasn't a funny comic. This was just a dumb comic. Avenging Spider-Man as a whole, if it doesn't markedly improve on being a funny, good time type of a comic, it is off my poll, and I will just pick it up when I see the solicitations and it happens to have a character in it that I might be interested in. Because this wasn't a very good comic. It wasn't very fun. Basically, this and the issue before, my first exposure to any real Deadpool, and I guess I wouldn't consider this real Deadpool either because, well, it was, it was dumb. It wasn't dumb funny, it was just dumb. So, anyway, disappointing book. I give it a whole 1 out of 5. The art wasn't bad, but still not worth really reading, in my opinion. Next, we're going to talk about Batgirl issue 13, billed as being part of Death of the Family, which is kind of crappy of DC, in my opinion. I mean, Batgirl is an important part of the whole equation, but this issue in particular had, I think, 4 panels that had to actually do with the Death in the Family thing. Otherwise, they had to do with a completely different plot line, ending our story with this group of vigilantes that are planning on taking over Gotham and administering very serious justice because the heroes have had all this time to fix things and they've done nothing but let things happen over and over again. So they are done. Nightfall is done, and she is going to administer the pain herself. She thrashes Batgirl pretty soundly, does some serious damage to her. She does manage to win the fight. I actually really like this whole storyline. This is what I was hoping to get out of Batgirl, you know, her doing heroics and spending less time being a whiner. And I think this is the last review that you'll hear me say that. We're 13 issues in, and probably around issue 6 or 7 that actually quit, and I just keep bringing it up because those first issues bugged me so much as far as that goes. Anyway, I actually enjoyed this. Bendis is back on art, and I say back on art in that he used to work a lot with Gail Simone in her first Birds of Prey run. He attempted to work with her on her second run of Birds of Prey, but that wasn't successful because he was quite ill at the time. I know a lot of people don't like his artwork. It gets a little cheesecakey at times. He's pretty notorious for the broke back artwork, but I didn't see any of that in here. Gail Simone seems very happy with his artwork all the time, genuinely happy with his artwork. So I don't feel like, I mean, if Gail thinks it's not too sexual and cheesecakey, then I'll be okay with it too as far as that goes. But I actually really enjoyed this. I enjoyed the end of the story. Of course, now we really will move into the death of a family moving forward from here. So I'm really curious to see how this all plays out and whatnot, how the whole Joker effect with her, considering the Joker crippled her for some period of time and whatnot. So very much looking forward to that. I would give this issue a very solid 3, almost a 4. Very solid 3. I very much enjoyed it. Next, we are going to talk about Batman number 13, the real beginning of Death in the Family. Not sure what all I can say about this book that everybody else hasn't talked about. all the way along and all the other videos that are out there on this. Absolutely love this setup. Damn creepy as hell. This Joker, the way he's being portrayed, he's insidious. He is sneaky. It's no real in-your-face kind of a thing. He keeps himself hidden. Yeah, he wipes out some policemen at the very beginning. That's about as in-your-face as it seems to get, really. Personally, he, the whole conversation with Gordon about how he's hiding under his bed. He knows where his secret stash of cigarettes are. He, about the things that he mumbles in the night and that sort of thing is just really, really creepy. And just adds this horror element, this fright, and genuine panic that is outstanding. The pieces in here with Harley Quinn dressed up as the Red Hood is absolutely fabulous. Also, I really like it when she gets the hood off and basically tells Batman, look, I don't know that I want anything to do with this. This is way beyond me. This is not my Mr. J. This isn't your Mr. J. This is some other beast. I mean, so the idea of how much worse can this be? I mean, he was horrible before. How much worse can he possibly be? And we're gonna find out. And I think it's going to be awesome. I think this will be a dominating run of Batman, and my only hope is the stuff that's ventured off into some of these other books, that they hold their own with their own books and their own characters, and it doesn't become this giant splinter of an event book that you get frustrated by books that don't really matter, like this first Batgirl, which if you were part of the whole, other than the cover and about 4 panels, as I said. At any rate, very, very excited for going forward on this. I give this book a 5 out of 5 for a beautiful setup as to all the possibilities of what we're going to be exposed to, and it's going to be awesome. Next up, I'm going to talk about Batman and Robin number 13. I continue to like this comic. I think the biggest challenge of this comic is to show these father and son moments between two people who don't really communicate. And the writer does such an awesome job of this. I think basically every issue has these gem moments of father and son moments that they somehow manage to create, even with the lack of communication between these two. And it's very good and very enjoyable. It's one of my favorite Bat books. This issue in particular. Damon is Damian. He's got a bounty on his head. That doesn't seem to stop him. Batman wants him to not be wandering around by himself, needlessly out in the city for unimportant reasons. But obviously, that never stops Damian. He takes out some assassins as it is. And then gets himself involved with these quasi-zombie type people. I guess because it's Halloween. This is October. So we get a zombie type issue, and it'll be curious to see what exactly happens. I love continuing to see the development of Robin from assassin to to hero, as he makes decisions when a woman can't escape, that he's going to sacrifice himself and sell it good, so the zombies go after him as opposed to her. Just an enjoyable comic. I give this issue in particular a 3 out of 3. Next is Frankenstein, Agent of Shade, and this is beginning of Rot World for him, and the beginning of the end of Shade itself, it seems. Excellent issue, fabulous art. The fact that the rot can't affect Frankenstein is awesome. that he's some sort of crazy science magic that makes his undead flesh move and work, makes him basically untouchable. So he's the ultimate weapon against the rot. But the rot is quickly destroying everything, attacking Shade itself and bringing it down, it seems. Nina, the scientist, is concerned that that Shade is talking the way they are, and Father Time is talking the way he is because it doesn't sound right. They raise the Leviathan, and the Leviathan crashes on shore, so Frank can get out and move forward. He's picked up and flown into a city and dropped amongst the rot, and so he's slaughtering the rot, and he ends up coming and finding Velcor, who's been sent out to basically find him so they can get things stopped that are out of control. I think this is going to be a really interesting end to use the rot world to end Frankenstein, Agent of Shade comic. But I really, really enjoyed this issue. I'm really sad that the thing is going. There's 3 more issues and then it's done. The ending of this is pretty impressive, where Frank is storming off across the city, and it shows the empty shell of the ant farm that all of Shade, all those thousands of people and whatnot are in, busted and smoking. So I don't know what happens if you're shrank down in a little interdimension and it's fractured and blown up. I'm assuming at some point maybe they can bring that back, but right now it looks pretty dire. I would give this a 4 out of 5 because I like Frankenstein. Okay, next I'm going to talk about Hypernaturals number 4 as the trap or non-trap that our main villain has set continues to explode on the home world, and clone 42, it's either 42 or 45, I can't remember which is, suddenly gets his powers back and is able to tap into his power source, which will lead us to believe that the clone after him is dead, and that's why it's reverted back to him having the power. He saves the day, also while our 2 rogue heroes who've been off running around stealing a power suit fight off a bunch of street thugs, and one of the street thugs' pistol has a crappy laser pistol that explodes and causes all kinds of chaos and destruction, and our 2 would-be renegade heroes save the day, and in the public eye they are now heroes, but of course to the Hypernaturals and their team, they're kind of AWOL, don't follow orders kind of people that probably should be punished, but they're not sure how they're going to be able to do that now with them being so popular in the public eye. At the very end of this, we see a betrayal as our main villain has slipped one of the characters, the one that's husband has been reverted to a very small child, slipped her some origami, and on that origami is a message telling her to help him, and he can fix her husband. So she is in the process of breaking him out of prison. So we'll see what's next. Still really enjoying this book. I like the science fiction-ish kind of aspect to it that goes along with the superheroics that are in it. It's slowed down a little bit, but that's okay. I think big things are going to happen in the next issue. So I'm still really enjoying this book from Boom Studios, and I give it a 3 out of 3. Next, I'm talking about Phantom Stranger number 1. This is a very disappointing comic, and I knew it was going to be. I don't know why I ordered it. I don't know why I put it on my pull list. I should have done the same thing with this that I did with OMAC, and pretty much anything else that Dan Didio touches since my experience with him destroying the Outsiders before the New 52. I don't have a lot to say about this book. The dialogue continues to be very poorly written. That is all on Dan Didio. I don't think the plot is very good here either. There's some interesting concepts. I don't know who came up with those concepts, with the Phantom Stranger basically being Judas Iscariot, equivalent of Judas Iscariot. I do kind of like that. Also, I find it interesting at the very end that he actually has a family. You know, that he takes off his work clothes and has a family. That's very strange to me, and that's interesting. This is already off my pull list. Unfortunately, I will be getting a few issues because I order in advance. But no, the introduction of Raven in this, Trigon in this, and his so blatantly screwing Raven, it just really sucks. It's not even an interesting betrayal. It's just flat betrayal, and I find that boring, dull, and unimaginative as far as that goes. And I think it's unfortunate that they've resubscribed this character the way they have under Dan Dio. Pretty much wrecks the character, and I think more than likely Dan will stay on it for the 8 issues at most that this thing's going to last before it gets shut down, if it even goes that long. Okay, next I'm going to talk about a Marvel book. I'm going to talk about Red She-Hulk number 58. I know there were other people who read this and didn't enjoy it, thought it was dull. I can't remember some of the other critiques of it. You know what? As a whole, I actually didn't mind this book. Yeah, it wasn't super exciting. I think it's starting to set up, it sets up a situation, and now we're hopefully going to find out as we move along why Red She-Hulk is involved herself in this, why she's going against the government, why she's going against this super soldier program. I mean, I can think of some reasons, but they haven't really shown her reasons why. Why she states as she's beating down these people, these super soldiers, that this program will make them, that they're bringing themselves to extinction. What does she mean by that? I'm actually interested in finding that out. Yeah, we could have had more character development in basically the equivalent of this first issue. I don't know that it was a strong issue, but I'm going to continue to read it. There's one thing I thought was really curious about this as I was reading the book. I'm going to open it up here and fight it and show you. I really like the fight scenes, but I'm a sucker for Red She-Hulk. I just think she's cool looking. I like the fact that she kind of keeps her crap together most of the time, but she occasionally does lose it. Her eyes glow red or yellow, and she kicks butt. In this book, it has Machine Man in it, and on one of the last pages, it's got a picture of Machine Man, and he's like showing a holographic 3-dimensional map of where Red She-Hulk is, and something is going on there. And it's all in glowing purple, okay? So here it is, all in glowing purple. There he is. There's Machine Man. The thing. What I think's funny is right down there, can you see that writing? That writing that's down there? That writing is an oops. That writing is an oops. What that writing says is, down in the gutter, it says, please, and it's spelled PLS, put glowing perspective grid lines. So it's a note to the colorist on what to do, but somehow it made it through edits. They didn't white out that when they printed the page, so it ended up being on the panel. And I mean, I understand that being there. If I were to go someplace and buy this piece of original comic art, and I bought the pencils, I can seeing that in the gutter. I've seen lots of pages that have stuff written in the gutter. That's cool. That's actually kind of interesting if I'm buying the actual page and whatnot. I just think it's a real interesting blunder for it to have made it into the actual comic. I think it's pretty funny. And it's not like the Defenders where it's cute little witty things, down at the bottom saying, oh, this is how it is, and little phrases and cute things like that. This is just an absolute, mistake. I love the artwork, though. I just think that she's so rich looking. I'm a sucker for the red, I guess. I complain about the red on the Marvel covers, but I like it in here. She beats this guy up. I mean, she kills this guy, which was shocking to me. Of course, the guy's scum. This guy is a is a ex, well, an ex. He's a prisoner, pedophile, rapist, creep, and she's read his file. She knows that about him, and of course he's using his superpowers to basically, violate people, and she lets him have it. He makes a proposal, hey, to her over here, hey, they want to create super soldiers. Why don't we do it the old-fashioned way by breeding some? Which she completely loses it, breaks an arm, and basically punches his head around backwards, leaving him for dead. Of course, some of the Avengers are showing up because the military is calling in the Avengers, because here's this rogue metahuman who is destroying all of their stuff and their programs and whatnot, and they need help. So Captain America and Machine Man are on the way. Of course, Machine Man's the first person that's going to get there. I'm curious to see what happens. Like I said, I like the character. Yeah, it wasn't super great, but I didn't think it was bad either. I mean, yes, I guess if you consider this a first issue, which it is, I mean, it's the first issue with her in it, it isn't completely riveting, but there's enough of a story there to make me curious and make me interested in reading forward. Like I said, plus I like the character, so I guess that gives me some leverage and some extra motivation on reading it. And lastly, I'm going to talk about X-Men number 37, and this ends Brian Wood's run on the regular X-Men title and ends this story. I continue to not be thrilled with the art. There was some good dialogue between our ultimate proto-mutant and Pixie that was enjoyable. That was some enjoyable dialogue. Things come to a header between Storm and Colossus. That's a completely broken relationship at this point. I think they both smack each other around and destroy some stuff. I don't know what I think of this. I'm certainly not going to collect it going forward. I'm not sure exactly how this comic moves going forward. I would assume it's going to get canceled amongst the new titles as the new titles spin out, but I haven't seen that yet. So I'm not sure how these characters relate to each other here and then relate to each other someplace else, unless the team makeup changes and whatnot. It didn't feel like an abrupt ending, but it didn't really feel like an ending either, which is fine because things in life don't necessarily have an ending, and so I appreciate that. But yeah, but this was kind of mediocre. I don't know. There were good dialogue moments, but as a whole, the whole story itself, the ultimate proto-mutant winks himself away to another world where he can be happy without being hounded. And all the samples are destroyed and eliminated and whatnot. And yeah, Colossus and Storm are no longer going to be working together. But I don't know. Wasn't a very satisfying ending, really, though. It was just okay. And I would give it a 2 out of 5. Like I said, there was some good dialogue, but the art's not very good, and it kind of ended flat for me. But yeah, and that's it for this week's worth of comics, and I will see you later on in the week, I'm sure, and hopefully Ethan will be back with us next weekend to do some more reviews so we can get his opinion too. Anyway, thanks for watching. Bye.